Hello, and welcome to EKU Then and Now. I'm EKU President Doug Whitlock. This series focuses on prominent EKU faculty, staff, and alumni who've had a meaningful involvement in Eastern during its history of more than 100 years. Our guest to discuss the now for this month's program is Dr. Jo Ann Ewalt, who is an EKU Professor of Government and Director of our Master of Public Administration program. She joined EKU's faculty just 10 years ago after having served briefly on the faculty at Northern Kentucky University. From 2002 until 2005, she served the Department of Government as interim chair. From 2005 to 2007, she was on leave from EKU to serve an important role in Kentucky state government as Director of Research in the Office of Educational Accountability, part of Kentucky's Legislative Research Commission. Since returning to the faculty in 2007, she served in a number of university-wide leadership positions, most notably as chair of the Strategic Planning Council, as a member of the Financial Planning Council, and as a member of the Graduate Council, all positions she holds currently. Dr. Ewalt has also been very active in research and publication, and earlier this year she was promoted to full professor. Jo Ann, welcome.
Thank you.
Kind of implied this in the introduction, but you know, our mutual friend Paul Blanchard was kind of the granddaddy of the EKU Then and Now series, and a goodly number of them, in fact the majority of them to this point, have focused on the then part of the institution. And I've always thought that kind of like the two-headed Roman god Janus, that it's important for an institution to both look backward and forward at the same time. So today I'm glad that we're doing a little more focus on the now, and particularly on looking forward. Yes. Really want to spend a good part of our conversation talking about strategic planning that's underway at EKU. And you know, a lot of people will refer to strategic planning as a roadmap for the future. I don't think that's always. I've always seen that as so constraining. I like to look at it more as a compass that keeps you pointed toward, as the fellow George said in his book, pointed toward your true north. So, why don't you share with our audience where the strategic planning process is in its current cycle at EKU?
All right. Well, we started with a pretty solid foundation. We knew that we wanted to focus first and foremost on student success. After all, our students are why we're here, and we are as successful as our students are. We also knew that we wanted to emphasize regional stewardship. We have an important role to play, and our boundaries, just like many universities, are growing wider and wider, but we have to make sure that we serve our region well. And finally, we really wanted to embrace and to enhance the effort we've been making in our quality enhancement program called QEP, where we are focusing on critical and creative thinking and communication skills, not just among our students, but among faculty and staff as well. So we spent last year listening to our, we call them stakeholders. We have talked to students, faculty, and staff. We've talked to community leaders, and we've gone to the regional campuses, and we've really asked questions about what is important for us to retain in terms of our strengths, and then really where do we need to get better, where do we need to grow. So we listened to all of these folks and did surveys and focus groups, and have now written a draft plan that is being sent out to the community for their feedback. and we'll spend this coming fall making changes that are needed based on that feedback, and then doing what's probably the hardest work, which is when you do strategic planning, you have to measure your performance. And so we have to set the measurements. We want to make sure that we have the right ones, that you can't do all things, you can't measure all things. So we want to pick the ones that are most meaningful. When you talk about strategic planning as a compass, directing you to your true north, we really consider our true north as what you say is the essential eastern. We don't want to lose sight of the fact that we know who we are and we do a good job, and we're all invested in doing an even better job.
Of course, I think that's one of the, you just touched on, in my view, one of the real critical parts of any strategic planning effort, and that is a self-awareness, a realization of the institution of who we are, and what our mission is. You know, it becomes so easy for all institutions over time to tend to look too much alike, and you know, it's understandable because every university has that three-part mission of instruction, scholarship, and service. But it's how you do those things and the mix among those things and the focus of those things is what creates the institutional distinction.
Yes, and we have worked hard on that balance. So as we look at the responsibilities we have in teaching and learning, in scholarship, and in service, we don't want to look like a vanilla institution. We want to embrace what Eastern is, and we have always had as a primary responsibility teaching. And none of us, I don't think, that we haven't heard that anybody wants to change that. Does that mean that research or service isn't important? Of course not. But it also means that you have a balance, and that a good portion of service and research has got to serve your primary mission of teaching. And so that's been an interesting exercise that we're doing.
Of course, there are those, and I think very few on our campus, who want to very neatly compartmentalize instruction, scholarship, and research. But you know, Boyer, some time ago now, in Scholarship Reconsidered, did a remarkable job, I thought, of describing the powerful relationships that exist between those three broad categories, and then he set forth a different set of parameters, if you will, for scholarship. But in my view, as we focus on student success, regional stewardship, and our QEP, it seems to me that there's a powerful opportunity there for the faculty of our institution to work across all three of those traditional mission components: instruction, scholarship, and service, within all three of those focal points. Am I missing a point, or do you subscribe to that?
I do, actually, and we've seen that as we talk to people, even those who might say, gee, I wish you could emphasize research a little bit more. When you really find out what they're doing research in many cases that they bring back into the classroom, or they take students with them as they do the research. I, for example, in some of my service, I volunteer for the Kentucky City County Management Association, and I take students with me when I work with them. And so there's a really holistic view that I think will help us see what our balance, what our true balance should be.